Holly, thank you for taking the time to talk to me about all things learning engagement. I know this is one of the great things you're doing in the L&D space and team at Ardoq, but first of all, what is the first step to really getting that learner engagement in your opinion?
Yeah, first step for learner engagement at Ardoq is definitely the hiring profile. So we're looking for folks that are lifelong learners. And once we can get people at Ardoq that are lifelong learners, get them engaged with learning, they're likely more satisfied with their work and they want to stay with our organization.
Yeah.
So basically, it's really important for us to support the learning opportunities of our employees so that they can support the needs of our business.
Cool. So it's like a stack of dominoes, once you get people in who are the right fit, they're interested in learning, you're already starting to shape the culture and that influences performance, retention and all those other things.
Kaboom, exactly. That's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
So let's get into the real tactics that you're applying, because when we spoke before, you explained some great ways that you are actually driving that engagement in learning.
Yeah.
So talk us through maybe one or two of those.
Yeah, so it starts from day one with our employees, or actually day two, they get access to our Ardoq Academy portal. And they log in and they start with that onboarding pathway. So they've got onboarding training for general onboarding, and then they also have some role-specific training in many cases. I think the other thing that keeps people coming back to Ardoq Academy is that they're logging in regularly and they have good reason to. So we have monthly security trainings that all of our folks are completing. We also have other content that supports some of our core business processes, such as development dialogues and our salary adjustment process. And then we make it really exciting with providing learners access to current trends. For example, recently we had a ChatGPT kickoff at our company, and we were able to share some really interesting training to help skill people or upskill people in AI. So this is really great. And then I think most recently a way that we've been able to drive engagement is through using the learning budgets feature. We're getting people logging in, there's more traffic, they're more interested when there's money involved in it for them. And lastly, I'll say, I think what's really important is that our management team, and specifically our CEO, regularly refers to Ardoq Academy in our weekly kickoff meetings. On Monday morning, we have a little video that goes out to the whole company. And I think that support from the executive team really helps to solidify what we're trying to do with our learning culture at Ardoq.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's coming from the top down. People can see that people in higher positions are engaged, but also they have that freedom to take control of their own development. Is that what you're finding, that you've got people you've hired who are naturally curious and you're giving them freedom to have the budget, they can kind of request how they spend it? Is that kind of that perfect storm where the academy and the people you've hired kind of meet together?
Precisely. Yeah. And I think this is what's really special about using Ardoq Academy, or HowNow for us, is that we have this culture of learning and sharing. And in this case, people can create their own content and then share that out further to their teams or do some cross-functional training. And that's been really empowering as well. And then me as the administrator, I can go back and kind of see who's doing what and make sure that there's like strong control over all the parts, and there's no working in silos, right? So that's been helpful.
So you mentioned before, the idea of it's embedded in the processes that already exist in the company. Yeah. So having it connected to the things people already do or have to go and do, does that help with that buy-in and that engagement as well?
Definitely, yeah. It becomes part of normal routines within the company. It's not a surprise when there's a training on a core process that's popped out and people know they need to jump in and they need to refresh themselves on that. And I think another piece of that is how we're communicating about the content that exists in Ardoq Academy. We're using our most commonly used communication channels to kind of push forward the success and engagement with the platform. And for us, that means Slack. Like Slack's the biggest, the best way to communicate with Ardoqians.
Yeah, I mean, people are already on Slack. It's where they're engaged. It's where they're communicating. It's where they're sharing the knowledge, to your point before. So, has that really just removed a bunch of friction for people when it comes to, I can find it where I already work, I can share stuff where I already work? Is that kind of how it's working?
Exactly. It's been super helpful.
So, yeah, people are in Slack. They're using that all the time anyway. Tell me more about the other ways you're using that and how it's important for you as a company.
How we're using Slack? Yeah, so what we do basically now is we're able to make some automatic reminders through Slack to individuals for key trainings that they need to complete them. And if that doesn't work, there's a ping that goes out to their managers. And we've also made it a little competitive, so managers get to see how they stack up in completion compared to other departments in the company, which has also increased the completion rates significantly. So folks are getting their training done more proactively, we've noticed over time, because of this integration with Slack and the SFTP.
And then bringing in that competitive element is probably interesting as well. Like if it fits the culture and you know your people and you think actually this is what's going to inspire them, it's interesting that that's really worked for you as well.
It has worked. And another thing that we like to do is we have a company-wide meeting every Friday, a global meeting called WINS. And that's an opportunity for me to shout out to people that have created really great content that's applicable to the company, or people that have engaged with Ardoq Academy in another meaningful way. And I think that also helps tie things together and bring people to the platform.
Yeah, that positive feedback loop. Often people with best time to create content for other people, they share it and it goes under the radar, and motivation to continue to do it decreases. So it's really cool that you're seeing that weekly meeting as an opportunity to reinforce the value of learning and being an advocate for learning as well, I guess.
Exactly. There's one additional way that we've been engaging people in a regular way, and that's at the end of each month. I round up all the relevant content that's been created across the company, and I share that in a nugget with all of our employees, what's learning at Ardoq in March of 2024. And then folks can kind of get an overview and make sure that there's nothing important that they've missed, or there might be something new and interesting that they want to check out. And that's been a successful way of getting engagement up as well.
What I like about that is often people put all this effort into launching something and they don't keep the touch points going and following up. And it sounds like you've got these weekly small touch points, you've got this one big roundup, and actually the awareness must be sky high in terms of people knowing about learning at Ardoq.
I like to think so. Yeah.
Awesome. And you mentioned a little bit earlier, it's no secret that you're using HowNow to host the Ardoq Academy and drive all of this learning. So I'd love for you to just tell us a little bit about the role that HowNow has played and sort of your general thoughts on how it's helped you achieve that.
Yeah. So HowNow has definitely provided us like a one-stop shop for learning at Ardoq. And I think what's most meaningful about that is that it's a place where everyone can come in and they can explore different ideas, they can create content, they can share it with departments or teams, or maybe just a few people within the company. So it's given us a way to kind of democratize the sharing of knowledge across the company, which has been invaluable to us.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point hiring curious people, cultivating a culture of learning, and then having all these disconnected resources or loads of friction to find the things you need. So you've got the perfect storm, it sounds like, and I'm glad to hear it's going so well.
Yeah, I mean, we're very much still evolving with the way that Ardoq Academy is kind of integrated into our culture, but so far, so good. Yeah.
Holly, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to me.
Yeah, no problem. It was great. Thanks.